My name is Sarah, and I used to be so happy. I had a wonderful husband who loved me deeply. When I was 20 years old, I started dating him. I was a virgin, which meant I had never been with anyone before. He was incredibly kind and sweet, always making me feel special. Every day he brought me flowers and told me I was beautiful. We went on long walks in the park, holding hands and talking about our dreams for the future. When we were together, I felt safe. He took care of me and always ensured I was happy. I knew I wanted to save my body for someone I truly loved, and he was that person. I had promised myself to keep my heart and my body for him alone. One magical day, he asked me to marry him. He got down on one knee and held out a shiny ring that sparkled in the sunlight. My heart raced with joy as I said yes. Our wedding day was filled with love and happiness. I wore a beautiful white dress, and he looked so handsome in his suit. Surrounded by our friends and family, I felt like the luckiest girl in the world. That night, on our wedding night, something truly wonderful happened. It was the first time I shared a bed with a man, and I felt a mix of excitement and nervousness. My husband was so gentle and kind, carefully guiding me to make sure I felt comfortable and safe. It was a special moment for both of us. I was ready to share my love with him. As we cuddled under soft blankets, I began to relax. His kisses were smooth and sweet, like the softest petals of a flower. I could feel my heart racing, and I knew this was a moment I had waited for my whole life. It felt magical, like a beautiful dream that had come true. We took our time, enjoying each other's warmth and laughter. With every gentle touch and tender kiss, I felt closer to him as we shared our love in a special way for the first time. My heart filled with happiness. I felt loved and cherished, and I knew we were starting a wonderful journey together as husband and wife. After that beautiful night, something amazing happened. A few weeks later, I discovered I was going to have a baby. When I found out, I was filled with excitement. I couldn't believe it. My husband and I were going to be parents. My heart swelled with joy as I imagined holding our little one in my arms. The thought of starting a family made me feel even more connected to my husband. We were so happy, and I knew our love would only grow stronger as we welcomed this new little miracle into our lives. A few months later, I gave birth to a beautiful baby boy. Holding him in my arms was one of the happiest moments of my life. I couldn't believe that my husband and I had created this tiny miracle together. We named him Daniel, and he became the center of our world. However, 6 years later, everything changed in a way I never expected. My husband became very sick. At first, it seemed like just a little cold, and we thought he would get better soon. I made him soup and cared for him, hoping my love would help him heal. But as the days went by, he didn't improve. Instead, he grew weaker, and my heart began to worry. I watched him struggle, feeling helpless. Doctors came to our home giving him medicine and checking his temperature, but nothing seemed to work. I prayed every night, asking for him to get better so we could return to our happy life together. I kept thinking about all the beautiful moments we had shared, our laughter, our love, and the dreams we had for our future. Then, one terrible day, the doctor told me that my husband was very sick and wouldn't make it. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. It felt like my world was falling apart. I rushed to his side, holding his hand tightly, wishing I could take his pain away. I told him how much I loved him and how grateful I was for every moment we spent together. Life after loss. Sadly, he passed away, leaving me alone in our cozy little home. After my husband passed away, my heart felt unbearably heavy, as though a massive stone was pressing down on me. I missed him every single day, his warm smile, his gentle laugh, and the way he made me feel so deeply loved. The house became so quiet without him, and I would often sit in the living room staring at our wedding pictures, with tears filling my eyes. After losing him, I made a vow to myself. I decided that I would never marry again. The thought of experiencing the pain of losing someone I loved so deeply was too much to bear. Instead, I chose to hold on to the memories we had created together, keeping them safely tucked away in my heart. I dedicated myself to raising our son Daniel and tried to find happiness in life's smaller joys, but no matter how hard I tried, a part of me always felt empty without my husband. Now I live with Daniel, my only son. He is a cheerful boy with a bright smile, and he loves playing soccer with his friends. We also share our home with Max, a fluffy golden retriever with a playful nature. Max's wagging tail and infectious energy often managed to make me smile, even during my darkest moments. Still, despite my best efforts to be strong for Daniel, loneliness would creep into my days. Mornings were particularly difficult. I'd wake up and see sunlight streaming through the window, but instead of feeling uplifted, it only deepened the sadness in my heart. There were days when I would sit by the window, looking out at our beautiful garden, remembering the fun times I had shared with my husband. We used to laugh together while planting flowers and playing with Daniel. I could almost hear his laughter echoing in my mind, but those memories only made my heart ache more. The house felt so empty without him. The walls that had once echoed with joy now seemed cloaked in silence and sadness. I missed our late-night talks where we shared our dreams and fears, the little surprises he'd give me, and the warm hugs that comforted me when I needed them most. I tried to distract myself with activities. I would bake cookies for Daniel or play games with him, but the emptiness always lingered. The house, once full of laughter, now felt like a distant memory. In those quiet, lonely moments, my only source of comfort was Max, my son's dog. Max, with his fluffy coat and wagging tail, seemed to sense when I was feeling down and would bring a small ray of joy into my life. He loved running around the garden, chasing butterflies and barking at birds, bringing lightheartedness to the house. Sometimes I would sit on the porch and watch Daniel play outside, laughing at his silly antics. In those fleeting moments, I felt a little less lonely. Although Max could never replace my husband Jake, he brought a small measure of happiness back into my life. Even during the saddest times, I knew I had to stay strong for Daniel. I wanted him to see that life could still hold beauty, even when it felt difficult. So I tried to smile, even when my heart ached, and focused on moving forward while holding tightly to the precious memories of our happy times together. One day, I lay in bed feeling especially sad and lonely. The room was quiet, and sunlight filtered through the curtains, but it brought me no joy. I found myself yearning for Jake's presence, for his warm hugs and the way he used to make me feel so loved. I remembered the safety and comfort I felt in his arms, and those memories brought an overwhelming wave of longing. As I lay there, lost in thought, my mind wandered to all the happy moments we had shared, but with those memories came the weight of sadness pressing down on me. The emptiness in our home felt suffocating, and I couldn't shake off the loneliness. I craved someone who could help ease the pain in my heart. Suddenly, a new thought crossed my mind. I picked up my phone and began browsing the internet, hoping to find something to lift my spirits. I decided to focus on Max, wondering if I could strengthen the bond we shared. Perhaps learning new ways to connect with him could help me feel a little less alone. I stumbled upon articles that offered tips on building a deeper relationship with your dog, including tricks to train them and games to play together. I learned about ways to make Max feel more loved and happy. The idea of bringing joy to Max gave me a sense of purpose, even if it was a small one. As I continued reading, I realized that Max could provide me with a unique kind of love, one that was unwavering and loyal. Although he couldn't hug me or replace Jake, he could still bring comfort and happiness into my life. Feeling a spark of hope, I decided to try out some of the ideas I had read about. I thought that by training Max to do special tricks and spending more time playing with him, we could create a stronger bond that might help me feel a little better. I got up from my bed, feeling slightly lighter, and called out, "Come here, Max!" I was ready to start creating new memories with my loyal companion. As Max bounded over to me, his tail wagging with excitement, I couldn't help but smile. Even though I missed my husband deeply, I realized that the love of my furry companion could still bring me comfort. Perhaps, together we could brighten the atmosphere in our home and create moments of happiness once more. As I lay on my bed that day, I decided to explore new ways to bring joy into my life. I propped up my leg and started browsing the internet for ideas involving my dog. While searching, I came across a peculiar suggestion, applying a little creamer to myself and letting my dog lick it off. The idea intrigued me, and I decided to give it a try. To my surprise, it turned into a playful moment. As Max gently licked away, I felt an unexpected rush of delight. I couldn't contain my laughter and encouraged him to continue. Though it was my first time trying something so unusual, I found the experience unexpectedly enjoyable. Caught up in the moment, I called out excitedly, urging Max to keep going. From that day on, Max became more than just a pet. He turned into a vital part of my self-care routine. It felt odd at first, but also wonderful, and I started to look forward to our special bonding moments. These interactions became a source of comfort and relaxation for me, Over time, Max's presence became so intertwined with my daily life that I could no longer see him as just a dog. He was my loyal friend, someone who brought me joy when I needed it the most. Thanks to him, the lonely and sad days seemed like a distant memory. Our bond was something I treasured deeply, and I found myself feeling profoundly grateful for it. As I grew closer to Max, I began wondering about the possibility of finding love again. The idea of building a new relationship and sharing my life with someone special started to excite me. I imagined going on dates, laughing together, and creating fresh memories. The thought of remarrying even crossed my mind. I believed it could bring joy and fulfillment back into my life. But then I remembered Daniel, my son. Raising him was my greatest priority, and I knew that introducing someone new into our lives would be a significant change. I wanted to ensure that any relationship I pursued would also be good for him. With that in mind, I decided to take things slow and focus on what mattered most. Spending time with Daniel and Max brought me immense happiness, and I cherished the simple joys of our little family. While I entertained thoughts of love and marriage, I realized that my heart was already brimming with love for my son and my loyal dog. For the time being, I was content with the life we were building, one day at a time. Eventually, I felt it was time to talk to Daniel about something that had been on my mind. At only 27 years old, I wondered if it was too soon to think about getting married again. I sat Daniel down and asked him directly, "What do you think, Daniel? Should I consider remarrying?" He paused thoughtfully before replying. Instead of giving a direct answer, he said, "Well, Mum, it's really your choice. You can do whatever you feel is right. I'll support you no matter what." His words warmed my heart and gave me comfort. Knowing that Daniel cared and would stand by me meant the world to me. After our conversation, I reflected deeply on what I truly wanted. The idea of getting married again seemed like it could bring happiness into our lives. I imagined finding someone who could be a good partner for both me and Daniel. But at the same time, doubts began to surface. What if things didn't work out? What if the new person didn't get along with Daniel? In the end, I decided not to rush into anything. I resolved to let things unfold naturally, trusting that the right path would reveal itself in time. Perhaps I would meet someone special down the road, or maybe I would find joy in remaining single for a little while longer. For now, my focus remained on treasuring the time I had with Daniel and Max, savoring the love and happiness we shared as a family. Whatever the future might hold, I knew we would face it together, one step at a time.